Let's go, everyone. Team Australia. Are they the fan favourite? Who knows? Is it Team Spain? But we've got Stuart Irongutsman representing Team Australia on the show. Hello, Stuart. Are you deep into a shoey? Is that the right way to say it?
I've just been playing. I've been playing the game Wingspan with a few mates for about 6 hours, I would say today. So I'm feeling good,
Okay,
ready
good.
to talk some Warhammer, I guess. Part-time Warhammer, a full-time Wingspan. That's what
All
it's
right,
about. Yeah.
perfect. Yeah. Right. Well, so lovely to have you on the show, representing Team Australia. But you're not currently based in Australia, right?
No, so I'm in Japan, and I believe that there is one player on Team France that I have never met called Gustave, who we frequent the same store, but actually we have never met. And I thought he lived in Osaka for about a year, but apparently he also lives in Tokyo. So we're going to be meeting each other the first time in Amsterdam, even though we live in the same city. So
That's
I don't
so
know how that
weird.
happened,
You're both
but
flying from Japan to Amsterdam to play Warhammer. Okay, all right, that's fun. That's super cool, though. All right, so like, talk to me about that before we do anything else. I guess putting a team together. I kind of mentioned this with Max in Germany. Australia's massive. How did you all put a team together? Like when you've got such a spread out group of players, but a really massive community of players. Like, and talk about that as well, because Australia's got a huge community of Age of Sigmar players, right?
yeah, so we got some huge challenges. So we kind of have, so there's the sense of an Australian scene, and we have a few yearly tournaments that kind of bring the scene together. We have CanCon, which is in Canberra, which is kind of situated between Melbourne and Sydney. Um, Politically, it's supposed to be halfway, but it's actually way closer to Sydney. Anyway, it's supposed to be halfway between Sydney and Melbourne, and people from all around the country have historically come to CanCon. And then the other major tournament that people always come to is, of course, Masters, which is an invite-only tournament where all the best players come and compete. But other than that, I would say that there is a bit of a split in terms of the scene.
Mm-hmm.
So, there's like a distinct Perth scene and then a distinct Adelaide scene. The Sydney and Melbourne scene, there's a decent bit of blending as well with the Queensland scene. Because in Australia, most of the people actually live on the East Coast,
Yep.
even though, it's this massive country. So if you are a Warhammer tournament goer, the best kind of spot to be is in Sydney, and you can kind of like commute between Melbourne, Sydney, and Queensland, and the more rural locations in between. And that's how you can kind of attend the most tournaments. But from a team selection standpoint, it's quite a unique challenge because it's hard to know, how those metas compare between each other. Like, is someone achieving really highly in the Perth meta equivalent to someone achieving really highly in the Melbourne meta? It's really hard to test that. So with that said, though, I think this year we did try to give like a good representation to each of those scenes. We don't have someone from Perth, but we do have, I believe, someone from each of those East Coast scenes and Adelaide scenes. Because we tried to use the I guess the circuit point kind of indicator as a guide of how to select the team. So that was sort of the team selection process this year. But yeah, the geography of Australia is a bit of a challenge. Obviously, I'm in Japan, so maybe for another country that would be more of a deal breaker. But because Australia, we all live so far away anyway, it's less of a deal breaker.
Yeah, if you got to get on a
we gotta get a
plane.
flight anyway.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Isn't Perth to Sydney like 8 hours?
He's like five, yeah, like 4.5 or 5 or something, right?
Okay,
So,
all right. So enough is the point. Like if you're getting on a
yeah,
plane, it's the same difference. Yeah.
yeah, like flying from Perth to Sydney is, I guess, the equivalent to flying from like Spain to Romania or something, right? So,
Yeah.
in Europe, that's like a distinct country, but in Australia, it's just cities that are a part of the same, Age of Sigmar team. So that is a challenge. And in terms of team training and all that sort of thing, if we didn't have TTS, I think we would be in a world of trouble in terms of actually
Or it maybe
communicating and
wouldn't,
playing.
or maybe it wouldn't be quite as like decentralized. It would probably be just a group from around that kind of
Yeah,
eastern side
Yeah.
that you said. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, like if the captain was from Melbourne, it would probably end up being like 6 Melbourne players and a token Sydney player or something would be the vibe, I think, if we didn't have TTS and that kind of globalization element to it.
So
Yeah.
just for people who are new or like are watching this back, TTS is Tabletop Simulator, which is it's just a game you can get on Steam or I think maybe other places. And there are a load of mods to play Age of Sigmar on. Me and Stuart got to get to know each other super well during lockdown when there were lots of TTS tournaments, and Stuart himself still runs lots of TTS tournaments to this day, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm mostly running team tournaments at the moment, but yeah, historically there's been heaps of singles tournaments, and I think that's during the lockdown how we all kind of stayed sane and engaged with Warhammer. So yeah.
Okay, wonderful. Yeah, it was really good. Okay, so how did Australia do last year?
So last year we came dead in the middle. So I think 11th is what we came last year, and we had a little bit of an unfortunate run. What basically happened throughout the tournament is we draw maybe an easier team and then cap them, and then draw a really strong team and then lose a lot, and then cap the next team. Like we'd cap and then be capped and cap and be capped, and that kind of bouncing ended us, dead in the middle, basically neutral in terms of score. Yeah, and I think given maybe some of the limitations we had last year, I was actually pleasantly I don't know if necessarily surprised, but I was very happy with how we did last year, given some of the limitations we had coming in terms of drops from the team. I entered the team like super late, I think at the end of December or something, and yeah, we had some problems last year, and I think the preparation is not what we've had this year, but I think we performed pretty well last year given the chances that we had going in. Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. Did you, as a team, learn any lessons from the event? Like, was it a bit of a rude awakening, or were you pretty prepped? Because you've got some players who've, like Sam, who's already been to a lot of international team tournaments previously, and I don't think you had, or am I wrong on that?
No, I mean, I honestly have not been to that many like two-day events in my life in terms of real life. So yeah, I think for most of us it was a new experience going international, and the bits that I felt like we maybe could have improved on, and we did improve on for this year. I think we had the players last year. I never doubted that for a second, and we definitely still have the players this year. It was just more the list and the battle plan preparation and the matchup preparation and stuff like that, where I think we needed to improve on from last year.
And I assume you've gone way too deep on that now.
I think we've definitely stepped it up in a key years away from last year. The approach is more sophisticated, and yeah, I think there were some challenges though. I do think that some of the preparation that we had this year was decently hampered by the release schedule and the battle scroll schedule for what happened this year.
Yes.
And one of these days, I do want to talk about that in more detail. But I think in general, I don't think it's a hot take to say that, frankly speaking, the state of balance of Caradron Overlords going into this world is a little bit embarrassing / questionable.
Yep.
I would like to be in a world where next Worlds we would consider something like no battle scroll, no play at Worlds, because something like Gits and Beast of Chaos. I don't think Beast of Chaos was as strong, but definitely Gits. Imagine if we went into the Worlds with Gits not having a battle scroll, what that would look like.
Yep.
That's the sort of situation that KO now is going into Worlds. And so next year, I would really like to see, just for the sake of the teams that we have, more a larger gap between the cutoff deadline and when the event is, so that we ensure that we have some actual balance changes come into books when they come out, because we've seen that some of these books do need some looking at and actual play to reach that point of balance. So
I think
that'd be great. I
don't think that's a hot take as well. I think there's also some really healthy conversations that can be had about production issues, like early access to information, and therefore the conversation about production issues. All really honest and fair conversations, not blame games, just good, honest chats about like what could be done to like make sure that the event itself has got as much fairness going into it before it kicks off. I think that's a fair statement, I would say.
Yeah, and I think we are in a state of privilege in Warhammer that we don't quite understand yet, where the developers not running all the tournaments. I think if people look at esports, they at a game like League of Legends or Overwatch or something, you realize that we have so much freedom with the way that we can draft formats, with the way that we can run events, in that we really can just decide on our own where the cutoff date for a new battle tome is going to be introduced to the game, as
Yes.
opposed to Games Workshop deciding on their own that we are going to have to play Soul Black Gravelords and OBR, for example, at Worlds, because they want it to be a marketing exercise. These armies are going to perform really strongly, so let's include them at Worlds so that the models sell well. That could absolutely be something that could happen in the future, where the developer runs the tournaments and uses them as a sort of marketing exercise. That happens in all sorts of esports. So we are still in the position where we're running the tournaments independently, and that means that ultimately we can kind of make a lot of the balance decisions in terms of delaying releases and that kind of thing. So I really think next year we should take advantage of that a little bit more.
I think that's a really smart smart analysis of that as well. I agree. Okay, so Team Australia, you got to put the team together. Who was the organizer? Who started it? How did it go? Who's on the team? Talk to me about the process.
Yeah, so Sam's the boss man this year, which I'm a huge fan of, because he is a fellow Jank Lord in the way of running lists and stuff, and a very diplomatic and empathetic captain indeed. Shout out to Matt though last year, who I think did absolutely fantastically with the resources that we had last year, and then had to kind of attend to more family stuff this year. But yeah, this year we have some returning members. So we have myself, Sam, Dave, Michael Clark. I want to make sure that I'm not missing anyone. I think those are the returning members. And then we have Joel Graham, Jimmy Page, Mark Nodge, and I'm going to really try not to forget anyone here. What's the last person I'm forgetting? Oh, no.
Oh, no. Do you need me to help you?
Yep. Just help me out for a sec.
Give me a second.
Sorry, Scott Wyatt, who joined us at the last minute after a drop. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you did have a drop.
Yeah. So that's the full 8. Yeah. So 4 returning members and 4 new members. Yeah, and I think this year, I would say, I don't know if Sam necessarily said it explicitly, but there was kind of an unspoken selection that the way that we would be using the players had a set way. So these are going to be the players that we're going to be looking to score the points with, and these are the players that we want to, I guess, be more role players and score the points in bad matchups. Because ultimately, a team in any game does not need to be 8 star players.
Nope.
And the reason for that is that star players have this thing called ego, and as soon as they start losing, they start to lose more. So there's this element with star players where they essentially win more and lose more. So the more that they win, if they win games, they start winning more, and if they lose games, they start losing more. Which, if you're constructing an AOS team, is not optimal, because at the end of the day, you're not going to win all 8 of your games in every game of the tournament, because the game is constructed in a way where you're never going to get 8 green matchups, and by greens we mean matchups that are favored towards your own armies. So you need to have players that are resilient to the fact that they might lose and still score you the points that you need to win the round. So that was definitely factored into our player selection process, I think, this year.
Amazing. That's quite interesting. We've heard from a lot of teams that one of the things people have been talking about is cohesion, like amongst all of the team, like as in developing friendships and interpersonal relationships. What's the challenge with doing that across such big distances?
Oh yeah, there's a huge challenge there. I mean, we have a lot of team meetings, but still some of us haven't met each other before, which is kind of, I think, a challenge unique to our country. So I've only been back to CanCon since,
Mm.
so I met most of the team there. But there's still a couple of people that I haven't met who were on the team just because of geographical challenges. Um, so I think we have, I would say, a surprising level of cohesion in that regard, even though we haven't, met and shot the shit with each other like you normally would. Um, but yeah, that's just what Team Australia is always going to be. There's always going to be that problem of not hanging out with each other all the time because this is too far. Yeah.
Okay, so talk us through the team, what they're playing, and if you've got like a little bit of a brief description. Well, I mean, it doesn't have to be brief. Description of the people. That'd be fun to hear.
Sure. Yeah. So we have Mark Nodge from Adelaide who's playing our KO list. Who has just been on the absolute grind and will be an absolute demon when he comes to Worlds.
Oofed.
Yeah, he's got a lot of thunders in there,
Good.
unsurprisingly, and yeah, I think he should do really well. And then we have Dave, who's a returning member from last year. He was playing some friendship crossbows last year with dragons and Vanguard Raptors, and he's decided this year to really branch out and take some Sentinels instead of his Vanguard Raptors. So he's running Lumineth with 40 Sentinels because they definitely nerfed heal on enough. And
They did it. 10 points up, baby. 10 points up. That's all you need.
It's enough.
It's
Squeak
enough.
heard as well. 10 points. It was just enough to get
Smashed
over the line.
it. Yeah.
I'm running Corn, and I would say it's probably 1,800 points of Corn and 200 points of my usual unoptimized garbage.
Okay.
Last year, what happened is I wrote the perfect Nurgle list and then took out 2 flyers for Epidemias and Warhounds,
Mhm.
and then Jack Armstrong took my list and went, I think, 118 and 2. So let's hope that didn't happen again this year, and I haven't completely ran it down, but yeah, like I always like playing these sorts of lists where I can capitalize on my opponent's mistakes, and that's what Corn's really good at. So I'm excited that this got released and was allowed, because otherwise I would have been playing something that I think is less enjoyable to me than this.
Corn also in an interesting place where I know you will have got a lot of practice games in, as will the other Corn players, but generally out in the wild is still new. And so I think while I'm sure you all would have written very good lists put together, we've seen Corn start to appear in the singles rankings quite significantly. There haven't, as of yet, there isn't the same cohesion with the Corn lists that have been taken to Worlds as there is with obviously the Gits list, the KO lists, although the KO lists vary a bit. But the Corn lists definitely are interesting because they vary a bit, like more than Slanesh, I would say.
Yeah, I kind of looked at the book and I just accepted the fact that I was not going to be able to come up with an optimized list, but I was happy with the power level of an unoptimized list. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it would be great and all. And actually since then I've written lists that are better than the ones that I'm bringing to Worlds. But I just knew at the time that there was no way I was going to find the time in the day to have enough test games to come up with the optimized list. So ultimately, you just have to accept that it's going to be a little bit scuffed, but hopefully the army itself will get you over the line. I still think that list, even with its limitations, is still good.
Oh, fantastic! Yeah, it's interesting. Okay, cool. Who else we got?
Then we have Joel Graham taking the 30 Squeak Hoppers. He's a member of my 30 Squeak Hoppers religion, and it obviously got a massive nerf, which I was asking for about 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, by the way, I love that everyone, when the book came out, told me that Green Crack was complete bin, and then now is in every Worlds list. I'd just like to say I was right.
Congratulations.
From day one. Maybe they should have listened to someone who was playing the old book for about 5 months. Anyway.
Yeah, that would have helped.
But anyway, I obviously the Squid Hoppers got a massive nerf with the 4-up rally. Being reduced in terms of efficacy. Now I can only return 5 models instead of 17 or whatever nonsense I was doing before.
I mean, you can return 15 across the army though, right? Because you can do it 3 times.
Exactly. Yeah. You just can't.
Seems fine.
Yeah, you just can't do some of the nonsense coherency breaking you were before, where you just go in and then remove half the unit and then rally it back, kind of thing. You just have
which
to
is
be a bit
good.
more careful with it. Yes, yes.
Yes, good. All right.
And then we have Jimmy playing the Beast of Chaos with 9 Bulgor, some Ungor Raiders, and some Zangor Enlightened, and a cheeky Gorgon in there. Yeah, just it's a very good army. Always has the potential to YOLO double or play more intelligently. It has kind of the 2 dimensions to it that a lot of other armies don't have. So it's super useful from a team's perspective. Yeah.
Jimmy also is based in New Zealand, right?
Yeah, so he's the sole Kiwi representative for this year. But we got to meet each other at CanCon, and he met the team as well. So it was good to see him over there, and I have no doubt he'll do very well at Wells.
Yes, he previously a former CanCon winner, in fact.
Yes, the previous one before that, actually.
Yeah. So
way back in 2020.
yeah. It feels like 1,000 years ago, but it's really not that long. Yeah. Okay, that's great. It'd be fun to see Jimmy on the international stage as well, because I think he's a very solid and competent player.
Yep. And then Sam's running, again, I guess a similar trend to me of, mostly a normalist, and then he has 32 True Blades. Yeah.
Yeah, so he's running Soul Black Gravelords army,
right? Soul Black Gravelords with a bunch of zombies and the relevant support pieces, but then he has 2 units of 16 Skirgan True Blades in there, because he likes making his opponent look up War Scrolls, I guess.
And make them feel uncomfortable.
It's a good War Scroll, man. Legit, it's good.
Yeah. No, I agree. It's quite interesting to see that again. I think it wouldn't be Sam if it was just something normal. I think that would be weird if it was just something regular. I think.
Yes.
Which is good.
Him.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, that's going to throw some players off as well on the tables, which is not like if you're pairing for most normal stuff, and then you'd be like, oh, it's the Australian match. Oh, it's the True Blades. What do we do? Like, they're going to take up a lot of mental retail space for no reason.
Yeah.
Which I think is good. Okay. Have we missed anyone out? We got everyone?
Yeah, we've got 2 more. So we got Scott Wyatt, who's playing Zinch with we've got an Incarnate in and Guild of Summoners. I think everyone is running Guild of Summoners pretty much this event.
Pretty much, yeah.
Chickens, summon more chickens, and he's got the Chrome Spine to be annoying to deal with. And then finally we got Michael Clark on his usual gun line shenanigans with Slanesh with bows and 10 Sick Blades and a Keeper. So
yeah. It's quite interesting watching the Slanesh armies roll in, because they are a little bit more uniform than the Khorne armies in the list writing bit, I think.
Yes, definitely. I think in general the book has, I think Khorne has this thing where a lot of the abilities are not on the War Scrolls. So a lot of the strength of the book is just based on the allegiance, the blood tithe and that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And while Slanesh does have the depravity table to give you ward saves and stuff, that's nowhere near as strong as what the Khorne thing is. And so ultimately the War Scroll does still matter. So you're seeing some inequity in terms of the War Scrolls in Slanesh. And I also think the sub-allegiance has a certain degree of inequity, especially since Invaders just got nerfed in the FAQ. So now it's just going to be all Pretenders until the end of time.
Yeah.
And if it is Pretenders, then that makes the shooting builds even stronger. So with triple Unleash Hell, basically Pretenders lets you do that. So I don't think we're going to see a huge diversity in Slanesh unless someone wants to, I don't know, maybe someone's going to win a tournament in a remote village in the United States of America with 80 demonettes. I don't know. That's probably going to happen.
Probably will happen. Okay, amazing. Right, so a couple of things to talk about when it comes to the other teams. You obviously, last year, you have the Ashes. Do you want to explain to everyone at home what the Ashes is?
Yes, so the Ashes is a mimic of the cricket tradition where England plays Australia, and that's what we do the day before the official team tournament, usually in round 5 of the singles. So it's on the Thursday afternoon. And we'll be playing Team England again this year. We didn't do very well last year, so I hope we do better this year. And yeah, we don't actually have an Ashes trophy. And I've just noticed someone in the chat said what got burnt. I have proposed that what we do is that every year we burn a model from the losing team and we add it to the Ashes pile, and that can be the trophy. But of course, there are various
Safety issues.
chemical problems and safety issues with
Yeah.
doing so. But maybe at some point, that kind of trophy will be organized.
Okay,
Yes.
fun. Is there any, while this is a super fun little tradition, and I'm sure there's some nice little rivalry between you and England, is there also a worry because obviously, as the former champs, they definitely are the team to beat to win the event. Is there a worry about giving away the strategy to the team to beat, if that makes sense? Like giving them that round one, how they think it would go.
Okay. Yeah, this is a topic of contention.
Maybe some. Maybe don't answer. Who knows?
um, I think there are some problems with it for sure, but yeah, for now it's tradition, and we'll continue with the tradition. But obviously, there are some problems for both sides in terms of leaking how we're going to play. The awkward question is what happens if we play when we play the tournament. In terms of how is that prep going to influence that game? Should we just honor the result of the Ashes? Stuff like that. So there's definitely some problems with it. I also think that from our team's perspective, given Team England's the defending champion from last year, maybe it's not the most positive for the boys' confidence that we have to play England the minute we get off the plane and land in Amsterdam.
Yeah.
I think maybe it would be better to play round one against a team we might have more historical equal footing with.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe this year we have more equal footing with England, but yeah, definitely that's a concern of mine.
I think it's a
Yeah,
legitimate
but
one.
I hope I hope even if we lose, my team can take it in stride and head into round one confident. That at the end of the day, you're only going to play a team once in a team tournament. So actually, you don't necessarily need to smash that team off the table as long as you perform well and then do well in your other rounds. You can actually still win the event. So
That makes
yeah.
sense. That makes sense. Okay, well, so with England aside, who are the other nations that you are excited to play against?
This year is interesting because I do feel overall that most of the lists that I've seen, there's 6 good lists and then 2 a little bit slightly dodgy ones in most of the teams. And I'm sure other teams perceive our team as like that as well. Perhaps they perceive my and Sam's list dodgy. Who knows? But yeah, I think overall, what I was saying before with the release schedule imposing some difficulties. I think we've definitely seen that in lists that have come out. There's
Mm.
some weird stuff going on. I've definitely seen some copy and pasting from Team England lists and other people's lists. I've seen my list pop up a bunch of times in the tournament. Two lists that, by the way, are definitely mine and Luke Bourne's that we've worked on for a very long time are the Skaven list and the Karazai list. They're definitely our list. If people are skeptical about it, you can literally go check my TTO or Best Coast pairings history, and you'll find I've literally played those tournaments over the last 4 months. Those are our lists, and we practiced against them a lot and played them a lot. And you will see that a lot of teams have gone to Blood Tithe, which has been like the major touch point for this event, where a lot of international teams from Europe have gone to England and played in England and got a grasp of the meta there. And a lot of the lists have been developed from that tournament. And so a lot of the ones that you'll see that have come out of that tournament is high drop KO came out of that tournament because a lot of people were running one drop before that, but then some people were running high drop at that tournament and still perform really well. The 2 units of 36 Squig Herd with like basically no screens has come out of that tournament. I think it's awful, but it has come out of that tournament. It has all sorts of weaknesses that I hope people exploit at Worlds, but that's come out of that tournament. Yeah, so I think you've seen that the release schedule has made people a little bit desperate to find lists at the last minute. And so the reason that a lot of the lists look similar is because they've kind of copied the same source, I think, for the most part. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Would it not be fair to say that would it not be fair to say that the a lot of the lists seem to just be lists that are designed in line anyway. It's I think it's fair to say that Jaws of Mork since release, it seemed quite obviously on paper to be the stronger one. KO with the Thunderers, same thing. So are you talking about very small, minuscule changes? Because definitely those lists existed during the first book review, not later on.
I think within those lists there are choices that would be made that are significant, that have all kind of converged in a way that doesn't seem particularly natural. So I mean, to give an example, the Gits list, right, are mostly squig herd, but you've seen teams that are not European. So, for example, the Australian list and the American list are
Mm.
very different to the European list. And the reason for that is because Australia and America did not go to Blood Tithe. So, a lot of the European lists have copied Dan Bradshaw's list from Blood Tithe. If people are skeptical about that, go check the French list at Blood Tithe, and then go check the French list at Worlds, and you'll see the change that's been made there. Basically, 60 squeak hoppers has been changed to 72 squeak hurt. So you've seen the changes that have happened as a result of Blood Tithe, and that's a change within Jaws of Mork. And then KO, I think most of um, a large proportion of the KO list in this tournament are high drop, and the advantage of high drop is that you basically get more heroes, so you have more access to rend, and you obviously get also Galatian sharpshooters. And then there's also been a couple teams, actually maybe it's only one. England has made an adaptation to that high drop KO, which is to take sharpshooters in Lumineth so you can shoot the KO heroes off turn one. So there's kind of this these sorts of conversations have happened behind the scenes, and maybe for people who are looking at the list, it doesn't seem obvious, how these threads of knowledge have transferred, but there's definitely been a large amount of information transfer behind the scenes that have resulted in this sorts of fairly samey kind of lists at Worlds. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Cool. Um. So. Uh. Like. So. So after during Worlds, is there a goal for Team Australia? Like, what's their are you hoping to place better than last year, or is it just look, we want to do as best as we can? What's your process? What's the team's thoughts?
Oh, we came into this year definitely looking to podium, and I still think we have a very strong chance of doing that. I have no doubts about that. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay, so that seems positive. And then, is there one team you want to beat other than England? One team.
Oh, Team Spain, 100%.
Oh, Team Spain.
The legends of banter on Twitter. Um, I'm glad that Eduard, who's known as Varadiskov on Discord, has finally been able to grace the Twitter realm with his banter game, because Team Spain has basically participated in all of my team tournaments since the beginning of time, sometimes with multiple teams. And so for me, they do hold a very special place in my heart. I think also Team France has participated in almost all of my TTS events. Last event, they sent uh, three three teams to my TTS event, which I tremendously appreciated that support. So it was 18 players from France. So yeah, I mean, for me, Spain is the one that I'd love to play. I think most uh, team events, they've showed a really strong showing in my team events. And I think at the end of the day, in Age of Sigmar, I'm really looking to play competitive but friendly games. Where
Mm.
we're really trying to beat each other, but at the end of the day, we'll all get a beer after the game and enjoy each other's company. And I think absolutely with Team Spain, we will have that experience. So I would love to play Team Spain. Yeah.
Great. All right, they seem like super good guys. Are you trying to fight them on the Twitter wars? Is Team Australia going to step up your Twitter account access and knowledge?
Well, yes, I've been told that I am not allowed access to the team Twitter account for obvious reasons. So, I will on my own personal Twitter account be fighting my hardest to defeat the giant Godzilla that Spain is. But I think it's going to be difficult. I think if anyone wants to contest Spain in the Twitter banter game, they've got a lot of ground to catch up on because pretty much day one since the pairings come out, they've just been absolutely on fire.
Do you guys have a coach, like a non-playing coach for the event? Probably it's too expensive for that to happen.
No, we do. Yeah, we do.
Oh.
We have Nico from the UK this year. So yeah, he's good. He's been tremendous help in the process. In terms of getting matchups sorted, been tremendously supportive in terms of guiding players on their list journey. I think having a coach this year has made an absolutely world of difference.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's awesome.
Year.
And will he be at the event? Yeah.
He will be at the event. Yeah.
So you guys going to be getting are you guys getting a cart?
Oh, the French star. We'll see.
Yeah. No cart for you guys.
See. Maybe we need to have some. Maybe we need to have a hot dog stand or something. That would be next level, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would.
Right.
It would. Yeah. You need. Yeah. Well, I mean, the real classic would be just to pop a Barbie out, like just roll a Barbie in. Just start cooking sausages. Yeah. Just start cooking sausages. Like, what would people do then? That's the ultimate flex, in my opinion.
From turn 2, just be offering your opponent sausages for the 20 go. Come on, mate. Let's go get a sausage. Come on.
Come on. Have you ever had an Australian sausage? Because you're not about to have one, right? That sounds super fun. All right, Stuart. Well, thank you very much. Does anyone you'd like to shout out before we head out today?
I'd just like to shout out you, Rob, for doing this because this is. I don't think the community appreciates this as much as they should. This is. Rob is doing the early steps for the history of this game. We're going to be looking back in 20 years thinking, Rob is one of the OGs in this hobby. So give Rob your thanks, give Rob your love. This is not easy, and this is tremendously important. So
thanks.
Shout out to Rob.
I appreciate it. I did this last year. I did a bunch of team interviews, but I spread it out over several months, and then I just never ended up getting them edited and uploaded. It was just too much effort, to be honest. So this has been a lovely weekend. As I paint Bulgur and interview. I mean, so I'm not going to get any chance between now and Worlds to even play, which is heartbreaking. So much of my time is spent like just on the cusp of about to play. Which is sad. Like I have an event here in 2 weeks, just before Worlds, where Dayton's coming to play from Team Canada, and I'm like, I keep being like, I'm just gonna refund someone a ticket and then just play myself. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna refund a ticket. But anyway, that'll be fun. Stuart, it's been lovely having you on. I super appreciate you being here. And good luck to Team Australia. I think you guys have got a lot in the tank. I'm not necessarily certain that was put to use last year, so I'd be looking forward to see it happen this year for you guys. I think that'd be really fun. So I got a lot of hope riding. So good luck to you and good luck to the team.
Yeah, cheers, Rob. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much.